networks, including Google Cloud's Mandiant, Sequoia.io, Uplift, and others. The fact that so many sources, both public and private, contributed to this report reflects serious global concern about DPRK cyber activities and fraudulent IT workers. And the fact that we had such a wide variety of sources adds to the robustness and the veracity of the findings. So thanks to this collaboration, we now have a report that contains an unprecedented depth of new information that we can all use to take action. The DPRK's activities not only violate UN sanctions, they also harm everyday consumers and citizens of our countries who have repeatedly been the targets of DPRK cybercrime. North Korea's cyber and IT worker activities target Pyongyang's friends and foes alike, as you can see from this slide, which provides a non-exhaustive list of countries that have been targeted. They particularly target companies across the globe to steal funds, information, IPR, and personal data through fraudulent criminal activity. DPRK cyber actors and IT workers are directly subordinate to specific UN-sanctioned entities in North Korea. These entities of the DPRK government, highlighted on this diagram, have all been sanctioned by the UN for their role in the DPRK's unlawful development of weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missiles. As you can see, nearly every aspect of the DPRK party state apparatus that engages in activities related to the unlawful development of weapons of mass destruction or ballistic missiles, be that the Reconnaissance General Bureau or the Munitions Industry Department, each has a team of cyber actors or IT workers attached to it. Pardon. These teams use tactics including fraud, hacking, and very sophisticated social engineering to generate revenue for the UN-designated entities they support through cybercrime and fraudulent IT work. Pursuant to UN Security Council Resolution 2094, UN member states are required to prevent provision of any financial assets or resources that could contribute to the DPRK's nuclear-related, ballistic missile-related, or other weapons of mass destruction-related programs or activities. Pursuant to the assets for use set out in UNSCR's 1718, 2094, and 2270, all UN member states are required to freeze the assets, funds, and economic resources of designated persons and entities, as well as any persons or entities acting on behalf of or at their discretion, or those owned or controlled by them. This includes economic resources, including cryptocurrency, of designated entities detailed in this report that engage in malicious cyber activity and IT work. This diagram, to our knowledge, provides the most detailed information available to the public on the relationship between DPRK-sanctioned entities, DPRK IT workers, and DPRK cyber actors. We hope that this sort of detailed information will be useful to UN member states. The DPRK's main motivation for these activities, particularly in relation to the UN sanctions regime, is financial. The majority of North Korean cryptocurrency heists, as detailed in the MSMT report, are carried out by actors working on behalf of UN-designated entities like the Reconnaissance General Bureau, the DPRK's premier intelligence organization. The MSMT estimates that the DPRK stole at least $2.8 billion, that's billion with a B, between January 2024 and September of 2025. And this, it is worth noting, is a conservative low-end estimate. The actual amount is likely higher, and the DPRK has stolen more cryptocurrency since the report was released in October. In February 2025, the DPRK stole $1.4 billion in cryptocurrency from a single cryptocurrency exchange called Pyongyang. This is the largest cryptocurrency theft of all time, perhaps the largest theft of any kind of all time. According to MSMT participating state information detailed in the report, North Korea has now converted all of the cryptocurrency stolen from Bybit and its customers into fiat currency through sophisticated laundering techniques. The DPRK relies upon networks of North Korean nationals abroad and foreign-based facilitators, including China, Russia, Argentina, Cambodia, Vietnam, and the UAE, to launder stolen digital assets into fiat currency for procurement activities and for funding its unlawful WMD and ballistic missile programs. Since the report's publication, the DPRK has, unfortunately, conducted even more cryptocurrency heists. The MSMT report also reveals new details about the DPRK's use of cryptocurrency as a form of payment and exchange. MSMT participating states have observed several instances of DPRK actors trying to make payments and sales in cryptocurrency, particularly using stablecoins, which maintain a value equal to the US dollar. This should be a concern to all member states. The ability to carry out transactions in cryptocurrency for prohibited activities provides UN-designated DPRK entities with a new avenue to evade sanctions. Making and accepting payment in cryptocurrency is likely faster and less cumbersome than cash transactions are, which would likely need to be physically transported often across national borders to be used for DPRK procurement activities. DPRK IT workers, while distinct from cyber actors, are also systematically engaged in activities prohibited by the UN Security Council resolutions, including 2375 and 2397. During the reporting period, MSMT participating states found that the DPRK deployed IT workers delegations to at least 8 countries, and also operated IT worker teams from within North Korea. The overwhelming majority of North Korean IT workers were based in China, though MSMT participating states found that the DPRK planned to dispatch a new deployment of some 40,000 laborers to Russia, including several teams of IT workers, amongst that number as well. From these locations across the globe, North Korean IT workers pose as nationals of other countries online in order to fraudulently gain employment, often with tech companies, in order to earn a salary and then remit the funds from that salary to the parent organization, which in turn use those monies to fund procurement and other illicit activities. These IT workers defraud global companies to gain otherwise legitimate jobs, taking employment opportunities from our own domestic populations and exposing our businesses to serious risk. Like DPRK cyber actors, these DPRK IT workers also rely on foreign facilitators from across UN member states to secure employment, to provide support, and to remit earnings back to DPRK entities. The final category of activity detailed in the report is distinct from the financially motivated operations I've been discussing so far. DPRK cyber actors also systematically infiltrate companies in strategic industries, including critical infrastructure and defense companies, in order to steal information, IPR, and technology to further the DPRK's unlawful development of weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missiles, and contribute to the stockpiling of other arms and related material. Cyber espionage against defense and technology companies around the world contributes to the advancement of the DPRK's unlawful weapons programs directly. This includes key military capabilities that Kim Jong-un himself called for during the 8th Party Congress of 2021, as well as his efforts to sustain Russia's war against Ukraine. This is a difficult problem for our nations to confront. DPRK's cyber and IT worker activities are widespread, and many of their tactics are highly sophisticated and difficult to confront. We know that DPRK cyber and IT workers are adopting artificial intelligence tools to further improve their tradecraft. The only way to make a dent in this activity is for UN member states to work diligently together to implement UN Security Council resolutions, and we welcome discussion of how we can best collaborate to ensure not only that North Korea cannot rely on these activities to engage in sanctioned activities, but to protect our economies, our companies, and our citizens from cybercrime. We are glad to report that the information in the report has already supported sanctions implementation by several companies. We're also very grateful to the governments of 2 member states, Argentina and Pakistan, for taking action to address issues highlighted in the report. In fact, I understand that Pakistan has actually approached an individual, but apprehended an individual that the MSMT report identified for her role in facilitating North Korean IT worker activities. On behalf of the MSMT, I'd like to thank Pakistan for taking such swift action. The MSMT would be happy to assist other countries in acting on the information in this report as well. And with that, I will now turn it over to my dear friend, Ambassador Yamazaki, to discuss the report's recommendations. Thank you.
I would like to thank those who are present at today's segment. First of all, I would like to reiterate that the MSMT plays a crucial role in monitoring the implementation of relevant Security Council resolutions of North Korea after the deplorable loss of the panel of experts of the 17-18 due to Russia's veto. As the MSMT report notes, the value of cryptocurrency itself by DPRK amounts to more than $2.8 billion in less than 2 years. We cannot underestimate how much North Korea has gained in revenue from malicious cyber activities for the sake of developing its unlawful programs of mass destruction and ballistic missile programs.
Of 4 entities and 1 individual involved in supporting North Korea's WMD programs through malicious cyber activity. Entities responsible for major cyber attacks on hospitals, on Sony Pictures, the Bangladesh bank heist, and the 2017 WannaCry attack, as well as entities engaging in cyber espionage against government officials and journalists. Australia calls on all countries, including North Korea, to ensure their activities in cyberspace are consistent with international law and the norms of responsible state behaviour in cyberspace. As the report clearly and rigorously demonstrates, this is not a hypothetical threat. Malicious cyber activity from DPRK can adversely affect every single country and region, which is why we ask every state to be vigilant and businesses to protect their operations from exploitation, so that North Korean hackers and fraudulent IT workers cannot find safe havens to perpetrate their crimes. Moreover, the MSMT's detailed reporting provides a compelling account of the connections between North Korea's malign cyber activities and DPRK entities that are already subject to UN sanctions. The DPRK relies on these cyber operations to illicitly finance their weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missile programs.
MSMT members and all those who are present here today. Because in our view, the Multilateral Sanctions Monitoring Team is a vital instrument in monitoring the implementation of UN Security Council resolutions related to sanctions imposed on the DPRK. And despite Russia's veto in April 2024 on the UN Security Council's 17-18 Sanctions Committee panel of experts, we stand here proudly with the second report. The Kingdom of the Netherlands is greatly concerned about the vast scale and impact of DPRK's cyber operations outlined in this report. Through malicious cyber operations, DPRK entities and IT workers have found new ways to circumvent and violate UN Security Council sanctions and generating billions of dollars for the unlawful development of its weapons of mass destruction programs. And given the cross-border nature of these operations, international cooperation is paramount. Servers in the Netherlands, with its well-operating hosting climate, have also been abused by DPRK for their attacks and to launder funds. Through cooperation, the Netherlands has interrupted their criminal services on different occasions. And as was highlighted in the presentation, the report reveals that IT workers often operate outside of their national territory, collaborating with criminal networks in various countries. We call on all states to exercise their due diligence and not to knowingly allow their territory to be used for such acts. Finally, the private sector plays a critical role in enhancing cybersecurity and strengthening transaction monitoring systems. And I would like to thank the representatives for being here today. Continued cooperation between the international community, law enforcement, and the private sector remains essential to detect and counter these malicious operations. In closing, I would like to underline that the Kingdom of the Netherlands remains fully committed to the enforcement of internationally agreed UN sanctions. The MSMT's work here is vital, and we are looking forward to continue working with our partners in this. Thank you very much.
Previous colleagues spoke before me. I want to thank the United States Ambassador Korea and Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for, first of all, for meeting us, and especially for the presentation of the second MSMT report. I mean, I echo what my colleagues have already said. This is a meticulously well-documented and researched paper, and the report shows, I think, in great detail how the DPRK uses illegal cyber activities to generate billions of dollars every year on the tip of the iceberg, and how the DPRK steals sensitive information in support of its weapons programs. It further shows convincingly, we believe, how DPRK skillfully uses and exploits private actors in countries in criminal activities such as cryptocurrency theft, fraudulent IT services, and cyber espionage. And it's been very well presented and said this causes substantial economic damage across the globe, results in loss of intellectual property, and undermines the privacy of our citizens. Germany has experienced this criminal activity firsthand in the last years. In recent years, the German private sector has several cases of undercover DPRK workers. These workers use false identities in order to be hired as IT specialists by German IT companies. Some of these fraudulent experts were luckily uncovered by German media, but also especially by our intelligence services. We have now issued warnings and provide handouts to our companies on how to hire remote IT experts, hopefully to be better protected in future. The UN 1780 committee panel of experts. But unfortunately, the Russian Federation is not limiting its support to only obstructing DPRK sanction regime. Russia also provides political cover and technical support to DPRK's illegal weapons programs, as the first MSMT report very convincingly highlighted a few months ago. Therefore, it remains for us indispensable to continue monitoring both the DPRK sanction evasion and their weapon development. Like my colleagues, we believe it is absolutely critical that we continue to advocate a strict implementation of the DPRK sanctions regime, and we also would like to call on all member states of the United Nations to comply with these sanctions and to make them as effective as possible.
He's proud of the ongoing work of the Multilateral Sanctions Monitoring Team to shed light on the DPRK's illicit activities. As we have already heard from Jonathan and my MSMT colleagues, the DPRK's malicious cyber activities and fraudulent IT worker schemes are nefarious not only because they fund the country's illicit weapons programs, but because of the impact these activities have on individuals, including their human rights, on business owners, and on the integrity of all of our national economies. By working together and sharing information widely about how North Korean IT workers operate, we hope to assist businesses in identifying and exposing malicious activities. We believe that the DPRK's use of IT workers is yet another example of how the regime is exploiting its own people to enrich itself and fund illicit weapons programs. These North Korean IT workers operate in large numbers within the DPRK, as we have heard from Jonathan, and also elsewhere. Several countries, including Russia, continue to allow such workers to undertake fraudulent activities within their borders in contravention of UN Security Council resolutions. It is therefore crucial that all countries harboring North Korean IT workers implement these resolutions and repatriate them to the DPRK immediately.
In the interest of time, let me highlight the 3 points. Number 1, why we are doing this in the name of this act, why we are reaching to member countries like today. Because we believe the UN sanctions regime of the DPRK is constantly being challenged by line actors across the globe. Given the situation, the DPRK continues illegal WMD program, and its method of sanction evasion has also become increasingly sophisticated, demanding an orderly global response. And our coordinated action became all the more critical following a profound setback in March 2024 when versus veto led to the disbandment of 1780 committee panel of experts, and many other colleagues talked about this sour experience we had years ago. And this disbandment, the international community lost its primary monitoring mechanisms that had been in operation since 2009. And this is the reason why the MSM came into being with the cooperation of like-minded countries, including Republic of Korea, to bridge the monitoring gap and provide rigorous oversight over DPRKs and provide, again, information and evidence, credible evidence, so that the member countries to implement this resolution in a more efficient manner. I believe without an accurate understanding of the situation, no further appropriate action can be taken by member countries.
Organizer of the other MSM member for this event. As the 1718 Committee Panel of Experts not be renewed in 2024 due to the veto cast by Russia, I cannot stress enough how valuable the MSMT's activity is. For 15 years, the panel provided independent reporting on the implementation of Security Council resolutions on North Korea. While its re-establishment remains our objective, the MSMT is a legitimate effort to support the work of the 1780 Committee through information sharing on sanctions violations. We welcome the second MSMT report dedicated to North Korean cyber threats. It highlights North Korea's use of cyber-enabled means and the deployment of information technology workers in order to circumvent UN sanctions. The report underlines a significant challenge in the cyber domain. North Korean hackers constantly improve their skills, reinforcing the cyber threat that North Korea poses to both its neighboring countries and those further afield.
I would like to open the floor now to questions from member states. The other audience members, please remain in listening mode. We have 10 minutes to take questions, and please identify yourselves at the beginning of the questions and the country that you are representing. Thank you. Usually when there are no questions, it means that the report and the interventions were perfect. And there is nothing to be added. Okay, thank you very much. As I was saying, it was perfect. We will ask now for a change in who is sitting at the podium, and we invite people from the private sector to join us.